to the wood shop. I haven't shown this on the channel yet, but I'm going to post a lot more woodworking videos from here on out of all my projects that I'm working on. So I'm going to show you all around the wood shop, and I'm going to show you all the projects I'm working on, all the tools that I use, pretty much what I think about the tools, and yeah, let me show you around. So this is the first project that I'm going to show. Is pretty much my biggest project actually that I have right now. It's a black walnut dresser, and this is a really big project. So I've been working on this kind of off and on for a while. It's kind of just my personal project, so it's not really there's no time constraint on it whatsoever. So I work on it when I can, and as you can see here, the drawers are all hand cut dovetails out of oak. So, and then I routed out a groove. You can see here for the bottom of the drawer, so a piece of wood will just slide in there nice. And then the fronts of the drawers, I'm doing half blind dovetails on black walnut, and I used epoxy mixed with white dye to fill in some of the gaps there. And then I just made a bow tie joint out of oak. And you can see here it's the same thing as the epoxy. So when I finish these, they should turn out really sharp. So again, those are the fronts of the drawers, and there's 6 of them. So I'm working right now on the drawer slides here, you can see. And if you've ever worked with any kind of walnut, black walnut or anything, you know that it's a really nice wood to work with. It's really satisfying to cut, and it's also really nice to finish, and it turns out really nice. So I'm excited to see how that project turns out. And then this is the project actually I just finished up here recently. It's a code contribution graph. If you're a software developer, you know what the gradient is. It's about when you commit code to a repository. And then my wife hand lettered the word committed right there. So that's a pretty nice piece. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it yet. I don't really intend to keep it, so I might sell it, but we'll see. And right here is my, this is actually my new table saw. I literally just picked up, so it's super fresh. I haven't used it. Yet, so I'm excited to use it. So I can't say one way or the other right now, but it's a Craftsman 10-inch table saw, and yeah, this is definitely going to be a nice addition to the shop. So I'm excited to see how that one is. This is my miter saw. This thing is not fresh. This is pretty old. I actually picked it up from a guy at a garage sale for pretty cheap, which was sweet. These things are expensive. It was a little rusted, but I cleaned it up no problem, and then I just oiled it, so there's no more rust, at least on the parts that you come in contact with. And again, it's a 10-inch miter saw, and it's on rails, which is really nice, so it can slide back and forth. And it's a Ryobi, so it's a little more on the budget side, but it's definitely it does what I need to do. And if you're looking for a miter saw, I would 100% recommend you to get one that's on the rails, just because of how much more with the board you can cut. Like, look at all that's a much farther width you can get with the since it's on rails. So that, again, that's my my miter saw, so it's been working really well. And down here is my plunge router. I use this thing a lot, especially for my drawers that you saw where I routed out the groove for the bottom of it. So it's got the router here, and it's got the plunge router base. It's a DeWalt, so this is a pretty quality tool that I use. It's really powerful too, so that's really nice to use. Moving here is my rigid orbital sander. This thing is okay. It's definitely on the cheaper end of orbital sanders you can get at a store. I've had a couple issues with it pertaining to the buttons. It's kind of being finicky when you turn it on and off. But other than that, I use this thing a ton. I use it all the time, and it works really well. So moving here, this is kind of my shop, desk or shop bench, whatever you want to call it. I don't really do woodworking on here, just because this is just to hold a lot of my tools, or to kind of hold my vise. And I don't really do any hammering or anything on here, just because it's kind of hollow underneath, so it's not really going to perform that well. Before we get to that, let me show you the clamps I have. So this is the biggest clamp I have. It's an Irwin. It's one of the heaviest duty ones they make. I don't know how many hundreds of pounds of clamping power that has, but it's a lot. And then I just have some of the cheap Harbor Freight clamps. They're okay. They rust super easily though, so you gotta take care of them. And then I have a couple of Irwins. They're a little more expensive and I don't think they're worth it, but that's the clamps I use. I just got a pretty generic pull saw. I have my really nice dovetail saw here that you can see, Japanese dovetail saw. I use that all the time. I've got a couple 3-foot levels there. Got another pull saw in the back there. Got a hacksaw, just regular saw, just construction saw pretty much. I got pretty much everything you need up here. Got needle nose, you got your pliers, scissors, adjustable square. I got my speed square down there. WD-40. I got all my bits. This is the system I use for my bits. I pretty much put them in a magnetic container. All the bits that I use most frequently, so I can just take them out, put them back in, and it works pretty well. I got my Ryobi, small drill bits. Got some other bits in there, screwdrivers. This guy right here is one of my favorite tools. So I'm gonna take this out. So this is a Stanley number 7 joiner plane. I think it's from 1940, around there, give or take a couple years. So it's really old, but it's in great condition. I bought it on eBay off a guy who restored them, and man, this thing is really nice. There's no rust on it. All the wood is still in great shape. All the brass hardware is looking really well. And the important part about it is that if you look in the bottom, it's flat. There's no dings or whatever on the bottom, which is harder to find, but it's important to have. So this is definitely one of my favorite tools I have. I'd for sure like to grow my collection of hand planes. Those things are really expensive though, so that's gonna take a while to get full set. Over here, just random crap I have. You always need a putty knife. Got my coping saw blades, got some slides, goo gun, butane, got some wood filler, a rubber mallet. I use my rubber mallet all the time. That's why it's just sticking out right here so I can grab it easy. This is just a cheap one you can get from the store. I've had it for years and I would probably get the same one. That's really all you need when you're looking for a mallet. So moving on, here is my drill press. It's the Harbor Freight Special. It's the Central Machinery. Honestly, this one works really well. It's a 10-inch, 12-speed bench drill press. You can adjust the belts on top for speed. And honestly, guys, it does the job. And I've used it for a few projects now, and it performed really well, and it did exactly what I needed to do. So down here is my set of chisels. These things are awesome. These are Japanese chisels. I use these things a ton, and man, they work so well. They're super sharp, and once you use a quality set of chisels, it just makes a world of a difference. It's just, yeah, they're so nice. I would definitely recommend getting a nice set of chisels if you do that kind of work. Right here is my bandsaw. It's just if you can see it, move my mask. Oh, there's no marking there. It's a Ryobi bandsaw. It does the job. It stopped on me a couple times before when I've cut through about a 3-inch board of walnut. It just stopped. It didn't have enough power to make it through without having to turn it off and turn it on again a few times. Obviously with Ryobi, you have to understand that it's not gonna hold up, in the long run if you use it a lot. There's cheap material, cheap plastics. You got to take care of it. If you do get it, you have to take care of, you have to do a lot of rust prevention stuff on it. But if you just use it, every so often, it's a really good value if you just need, a 3-inch bandsaw to make your cuts. So again, it's on the cheaper side, but if you need it, it does the job. Right here is my hand clamps. These are helpful if you just need to clamp something to the board, to the platform here really quick. Got a couple C clamps there. Here's one of my pocket hole jigs that I'm using actually for the project I have going right now. Well, I'll talk about that, I guess. So this is going to be a set of nightstands. So I'm working on this one right now. I actually have to pick up some more screws I ran out. Yeah, so this is going to be a pair of nightstands. I'm just following a set of plans. So I made all my cuts down there. So I'm just basically building it right now. So I've got both ends right there. I just need to connect them. And then I'm gonna make a drawer, do some other fancy stuff on it. But that's my current project. And what you see it sitting on is my mini bench. So this bench, I used some LVL wood. If you've ever heard of that, it's like this crazy like engineered wood that's made from a lot of, you can see a lot of sheets of wood. But the nice thing about it is it's very dense wood. So it's excellent for chiseling. And so you can see on the side here, this thing just gets torn up. This is pretty much where I chisel. Everything is on this side. So but it's super dense. So it absorbs all the energy, which is what you want. So you don't lose anything in your swing. And right here, this guy is one of my favorite tools I have. I got it from a garage sale, the same place I got the miter saw at. This is an Irwin clamp. This thing is awesome. If this ever breaks, I'm buying the exact same one. If you've ever heard of this style or this make of Irwin quick grip clamp, I would 100% check this out. The size is perfect. I use this for all my chiseling, so I pretty much use it as a bench vise to hold stuff to the bench while I chisel. And it's got a crazy amount of power, and it holds things in place when I'm chiseling. So that's kind of my bench. I know it's pretty small. I'd like to expand it. The place I was at before this, the garage, we still have the car in the garage, so I had to make something small enough to accommodate that. And I'd like to expand the bench for sure. I'm kind of limited on space, as you can see, and I kind of have to get creative with my sawhorses there, with some of my temporary benches to accommodate some of the larger projects. But honestly, it works for a lot of the hand tool stuff I do, like hand carving and more of the fine woodworking stuff. Especially works for dovetails, because you can't see it right now, but I have a vise. I can move this. I have a vise there, so the vise is on these guys, so you can just spin these out and you can move this out and then clamp it down, and that's the vise. And I didn't actually buy it. I made that vise, so I pretty much just picked up threaded rod at Home Depot for like 10 bucks, and I basically drilled a hole way into my bench, and I just drove the threaded rod into the bench. So it's in there, it's not moving at all. And then I put, if you can see in the middle there, I put copper piping inside the wood, so the wood slides really nice. So that actually worked a lot better than what I expected. That gets abused a lot, but it's held up. And honestly, for $10, how do you beat that? I looked at clamps for benches, and they're like hundreds of dollars. I'm like, I'm not spending that right now. I'm just gonna build my own. So then I did, and I've used that for about 1.5 years. And obviously it's gonna fall apart. You have to fix it, but it works for what I do. This is my other vise right here. This is just a Bessie, benchtop vise. Pretty standard, just iron. It does the job. And it's got a little this metal spot there. I'm not gonna call it an anvil, but it's got a little metal spot to hammer on there if you need that. So that's pretty much my benches I work with. I think I called that a desk earlier. I don't the word bench escaped my mind for that moment. But yeah, that's kind of my shop bench, and that's my actual working bench. This right here is my drill. This is a Ryobi hammer drill. You can see I kind of makeshifted a level on the side there, just using a line level. I'm probably gonna take that off. I don't know. It kind of looks cool though. The reason I picked this one up, so I had a old DeWalt drill before this. They're a little pricier than Ryobi, and honestly, this Ryobi hammer drill is a pretty good value. So it has all the settings, including the hammer drill, which I wanted. It's got the magnetic strip on the bottom for your bits and everything, which I thought was neat. It's got the LED light to light up whatever. It's got the holder for the bit, but I was a fan of the battery. I really liked the battery system they have. So I think this is a Yeah, this is a 4 amp battery, and I like the whole system they have going with that. How many tools you can connect with the battery, and the battery life is really really good, but it's also a very powerful drill for the money. It's one of the more powerful drills, and it goes through everything I've done with it. And so I would recommend this drill. I've had it I think for about 6 months now, and it's held up really well. I've had no issues with it whatsoever, and I like it. The only negative is if you go from another drill to this drill, I don't really like the sound. It kind of sounds like it's gonna break, but it's not. So this is pretty much the shop. I think I've showed everything. This is some of the scrap wood I have here for whatever projects I have going at the time. This is all the wood that I'm using for my nightstands. And oh yeah, right here, this guy is my router table, which I actually modified to accommodate my DeWalt router. So if you can see, sawdust in there, I drilled some new spots to hold my, if you can see under there, my router base. Typically the DeWalt routers don't fit this, but you can make them fit it. You can drill in and install that base yourself, and it's not going anywhere. So this is definitely a cheaper router table. But again, if you are on a budget and you need to do the job, this is a good value table. It does the job, but you'll just need to, make some modifications probably. And over here, if you see, this is my kind of odds and ends drawer. Pretty much all mechanical stuff I have here, and this is my woodworking drawer. So I got all my hand gouges here, got my T-level, got my other chisels I have, draw knife, square, some stair gauges there, my spoke shave. This is, and my marking gauge right here. So, dovetail marker too. So I have a lot of hand woodworking tools in there that I keep. If you want any more detail or information on that, I can definitely tell you more about it. So this is, guys, this is pretty much the shop. Again, this is a garage. So this is, multi-purpose, right? I have some stuff over there, bikes and what other kind of crap I got sitting up there on the table and stuff like that. But this is the important part, I guess. This is the shop part of it. So that's where I spend a lot of time. And if you want to check out more information or more about this shop, I can definitely make another video talking more in depth about anything that you see here.